Da har vi fått storfint besøk fra London. We're lucky to have you here across the North Sea from Manchester, maybe going through London, but ending up here. Andrew McIntyre, one of the founding fathers of MHM and the Culture Segments-modellen. It's been quite a few years in the market now, hasn't it? You might want to tell me, is it like 10?
13.
13, yeah. And
Do we count COVID? 11 plus COVID.
Yeah, let's count that, indeed. You're not only in England and Norway, not indeed, so you might just start by telling people who you are and...
Okay, I haven't got an introduction slide, but hi, I'm Andrew. As you say, I'm from Maurice Hargreaves MacIntyre, so I'm the MacIntyre. We're based in Manchester in the UK, but we work in about 15 countries. We are quite focused on Nordic countries particularly, but we do a lot of work in Sweden especially. But we're very, very keen on learning more about the Norwegian market. Culture Segments has been around in Norway for a while. It's had various people used it for all kinds of projects. It's now become embedded in NPU's monitor, which is very exciting. So there's real data coming through now that's showing lots of interesting patterns. But what I want to say is that the arts and culture sector doesn't lack data. We have lots of data. We have probably too much data. What we lack is insight. You can count as many ticket sales and pattern them as much as you like, but all our data really tells us is what has already happened. It's looking backwards at what just happened. What we need is insight to tell us either what's going to happen next, or even better than that, how can we change what's going to happen next? How can we influence what's going to happen next? And how can we influence and change people's behavior? So how can we get people to do more of the things that we would like them to do? Buy tickets, come back, talk about us, join, belong. And how can we get them to do less of the things we don't like them to do, which is go away, never come back, and so on. And what's interesting is if you look at ticket data in box office databases, the biggest single group are people who've booked once, and we never see them again. Well, we don't know, actually. They may come back with somebody else, but we can't track it. And they've booked once for one genre. And so what do we know about them? We know that they once came to that genre. We don't know that they liked it. We don't know that they'll ever come back. We don't know whether that's the only genre they're interested in. We don't know why, what we would need to say to them or about them to make them come again. So this is actually a lot of guesswork. So the aim of Culture Segments is to try and understand not just who people are, how old they are, where they live, and so on. Not just what did they book for last time, because we may only have one ticket. What we want to know is why. Why did they come? What are these people looking for? What do they want? What makes them happy? What are they seeking? How can we talk to them in language that they respond to, that lights them up, that makes them excited, that makes them interested in what we're doing? I think what's interesting, I don't mean to, I should say that I had lots of jobs that had marketing in the title. And the truth is, we shouldn't say this too loudly outside the room, but if we didn't do any marketing, like none, maybe we just listed what was on the website or in the local paper. We didn't actually do any marketing. What proportion of the tickets do you think we'd still sell? the answer's more than 50%. Some of you, the answers might be 70%. So marketing is really only icing the cake. What we need is a much more powerful way to drive behavior. We need to actually fundamentally be able to really drive a connection with people. And all the experiments we've done in lots of different countries and lots of different art forms and genres, culture segments is driving that kind of level of change in membership schemes, in sales, in the way that people engage with us, in their brand loyalty, every which way you can look at it. Even in things like when you have a cafe or a shop, it's driving that as well. So this is interesting because it explains why people do what they do and how you might be able to persuade them to do more of it. And anything that gives you that power is going to really make a difference to you. So, just as a kind of quick show of hands, if I asked, are you broadly familiar with the culture segments? Who would say yes? Okay, great, fantastic. I won't spend very long on the next slide. Oh, yeah, okay. So I don't know if you can read these, but these are the 8 segments. We have them in English and in Norwegian. But very quickly, the essence segment are, by the way, I'm happy to share the slides. Yeah. The essence segment are core culture and arts people. They can't imagine their lives without it. It's like oxygen. In the pandemic, it was awful because they were cut off from the live cultural experience. Interestingly, they were the biggest users of online, and they rated it lower than anyone else because it wasn't like the real thing. And it will never, ever replace the real thing for them. It might add interest to it, but it'll never, ever be the same as being close to the art, because that's where they get their fix from. They're in pursuit of self-actualization. They can tell you that the occasion they were in a theatre or in an art museum where it just was the best thing they'd ever seen in their life. And they keep going to get the next one of those. And they're happy to sit through 10 others to get to the next one of those. And they quite enjoy it, but they want the next fix, and they can't get enough of it. Stimulation are a bit more fickle. They're kind of looking for the cool thing. They're looking for the new thing. They're looking for the, wow, what's happening over here? They're hugely visually literate. They're incredibly marketing savvy. They can see through all of our marketing like that. They could probably write it better than we could. They are amazingly digital. They're online, but they love visual things. They love exciting things. They love rule breaking. They like it when you do something that connects history to politics, to economics, to art, to something, and blows your mind up. So they're kind of like big ideas, but they want them presented kind of in exciting ways. And they want to be invited to the opening on the roof at midnight with fireworks, and they're going to Instagram it. And then next week there'll be something really exciting happening somewhere else. So they're hard to hold on to. You've got to keep giving them this thing that they want. Enrichment are quite traditional. They don't want you to mess with it. So, if you're doing Ibsen, just do it like it's meant to be. If you're doing Shakespeare, don't mess with it. Don't put it in the future on the moon. They don't want that. They want the original, the one that stood the test of time. It's not that they don't like new things, they just suspect that they might not actually be any good or substantial. It's like, I was in a group once where one of these people said to me, some of this new art might be good, but we won't know for another 30 years. The release people are just stressed. They feel busy. They don't I'd like to do culture, but when am I going to do it? And it's, the busy lives. They've got kids, they've got jobs, they've got whatever, and they're just feeling life is kind of quite stressful. And they're looking for an escape. So if I'm only going to do one thing this month, what's it going to be? And because of that, they end up being quite mainstream because they don't want to take too much risk if they're only going to do the one thing. So they've got to almost be guaranteed to be good. And so they end up being quite risk averse. I'll come to that last. Entertainment, it's not that these people don't like to be entertained. They do, they all do. But these people only like to be entertained. They're not up for doing much work. They don't want to think about it too much. They don't want to have to try that hard. They just want to turn up and you entertain them. So, if they go to a museum and you give them a map and go, they go, what am I meant to do with this? It's like, I don't want to do all the work looking around. It's like, what time is the thing on where you show it to me? So they literally just want to consume culture. They don't want to actually have to do much. Now, we probably have lots of content where they can just rock up and do that, and it's great. But some of that is, let's say, seasonal. You will have certain things on at certain times of year in your program that suits them. Perspective are, this is interesting. They're super interested in something. It could be something quite specific. They are quite self-sufficient. They don't think that they're missing out on something by not coming to your venue. So they're quite happy at home doing whatever it is they already like. So you have to make them come out to get this experience that adds something to their level of interest. Let's say is that they're really hard to market to because they're not looking. And they're quite satisfied. They're quite self-contained. They like nature. They like reading. They like whatever it is they like. They've probably read every book on it. But they also probably belong to the Facebook group for it. So, so whatever it is that you like, if you've got a topic or a theme or something, you can find people who are interested in that. Now, this segment is 8 to 10% of the population pretty much everywhere, except in Norway and Sweden, where it's just off the scale. It's like you've got twice as many as there are anywhere else in the world. And the only other place that we have found, the only other place in the world that we've found high levels is in Minnesota in the US, which is just a load of Nordic people. So they're all driving Volvos. So hey, there's a PhD to be done. Like, why is that? Nobody knows, but it is. And then affirmation are kind of self-conscious learners. They want to do the right things, like joining a book group will make you kind of more intelligent because you'll read books and you'll know things. So they come to culture because it's like a worthwhile thing to do, a time well spent. We can say we did something worthwhile with our weekend. We didn't just do the laundry and go supermarket shopping. We actually went and saw a play, or we went and saw an exhibition, and we kind of fed our kind of inner life. And it's a good feeling that we've done something. It's actually probably quite nice to tell a bit. Oh yes, we went to the theatre. So because I'm a kind of cultural person. So but they want to do the right thing. They are anxious about doing the wrong thing, like choosing the wrong thing, going to the wrong place, not knowing how it works. So you have to hold their hand and you have to persuade them. And what they do repeatedly is they press their face to the glass and look in and go, oh, that looks interesting. And they never come, they never book. And so what we have to do is you have to really explain it to them. We did a fantastic thing for opera where we literally explained how it all worked. And this is what you do. This is where you leave your coat. This is how you get a drink. And then this is how the opera works. And this is 28 minutes long, and it's going to be in Italian, but there's going to be subtitles, and then you can do this, and there's a thing you can look at. And it was like, oh, okay. And it was like the beginner's guide, like the idiot's guide to opera. Like, I can't possibly go wrong because I know everything now, and now it's safe to come in. And so many places, even a building like this, which is a lovely building, if you've not been in it, you come in and you think, oh, where am I meant to go, and where everything, and everyone in here seems to know it, and they all seem to know what to do, and you're thinking, oh, where do we get the ticket? Where's the entrance? And it's just people feel quite anxious about going to a new place or to see something they don't know, or and also they think everyone else will spot them. from 20 paces away is like, oh, there's a new person who doesn't know what they. So it can be quite difficult for people to try new things. And as a sector, we're not really very good at helping people try new things. We're very good at helping the people who already have been to come again. We're not that good at helping people to come in for the first time. We kind of have to walk in their shoes to understand what would this look like from the outside if you'd never done it before, and what questions would you have? And then finally, the one we're going to look at in a bit more detail, expression. These are people. These are community-minded and communally minded. Anybody in here, by the way, in this segment? Have you done your own segment? Yeah? There is. I haven't got the link, actually. I should put that up. Maybe I'll do that in the break. These are people. They are incredibly generous. They're incredibly egalitarian. They want to belong. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. They are hardwired to support cultural organizations. They think, oh, we should use this, we should support this, because this place makes our city better. It gives us a better life. So it's kind of something that they think is a good thing, and they deserves their support. And they want to not just come and consume activity here, they want to belong to it, they want to be part of it, they want to feel connected to it, they'd like to bring other people to it, they'd like to celebrate it. And what's interesting about this group is we're not always very good at letting them in, so we often keep them at arm's length and keep marketing to them. And actually what they really want is to be on the inside. We did a thing recently, this is so interesting, we did a little survey question to all of these segments. It was actually for an art museum. And we said, no, it wasn't, it was for a theatre. It was for a theatre. And we actually said, if we sent you a poster for our next play, would you be willing to put it up in your local neighbourhood? And the answer for most of this is in the 20% range, whatever, okay? Till you get to here, where it's 76. Okay, but not only that, we got spontaneous, there wasn't even somewhere to write this in. People emailed separately and said, don't waste money printing all the posters. Email it to me as a PDF. I'll print it at home and put it up for you. So what these people are, they're almost like your para-marketing department. You could literally convert them into marketers for you, and they will tell everyone else on your behalf, and they will enjoy doing it. And it's not because they want to go, oh, look, I'm part of the theatre. It's actually because they go, oh, we could all do this, and this is great, it's for everyone. And that's what turns them on. They really like that. And actually, they do it already because they say on Facebook or wherever, they say, oh, there's a thing on, and we're thinking of going, I'll get the tickets, who wants to come? So I'm going to guess that on your box office system, unless it's a family thing, if on your box office system for adults, any party that has booked 3 or more tickets, I'm going to put money on the fact that they're in that segment, right? Because that's what they do. They bring other people, they bring people who don't live in the same house as them. That's just kind of how they're wired. So these people are pretty important to us. They're brilliant. They're massive supporters. Also, and if you've got a membership scheme, they're the most likely to join. And if you ask for volunteers, they're the most likely to volunteer. And if you ask for donations, they're the most likely to donate. And then they're most likely to tell other people about it. Now, I would say is these people tell other people about it quickly, and then they're gone. But these people will be slower telling people about it, but they will tell more people. And also, these people probably tell them on Twitter. These people will tell them face-to-face or in some more personal channel. And so they actually are more effective at spreading the word. So when you do surveys and you say, how did you find out? And it says word of mouth, right? some of the kind of instant early word of mouth will be the stimulation, but most of the word of mouth will be expression. They are responsible for nearly all of your word of mouth. So in communicating with them, what we need to think of is not what could we do to persuade them to book a ticket. It's what's the script that we need to give them so that they can go and persuade everyone else to come. Yeah? These people are like your agent. They have to go out and they have to be able to explain what it is that this ticket is for and why other people should buy a ticket for it. So we almost need to equip them to go out and do that job for us. And yeah, as a sector, we're not that good at that. We're quite good at selling, but we're not quite good at forming those little networks and connections. These people, they're not the biggest segment, but they are arguably the most important segment that we have. That makes sense. Yeah. So just very quickly, just to give a kind of flavor of that, the kinds of messages that trigger these different segments to respond, let's just say this is your next show, essence will be the programming team has got really powerful credentials, they're really famous or really high quality, whatever. It's really in depth, this thing, it's art, it's serious high quality, and don't worry, it's not mainstream, it's special. Yeah. The stimulation is it's new, it's unusual, it's different, it's like nothing you've ever seen before. It'll blow your mind. It's the best kept secret. You're the first person to find out, because they like being the first to know. And it offers new perspectives, new ways of seeing the world, and you're in the know, you're on the inside of this now. I should do full disclosure, I'm stimulation. I know it's a bit shallow, but but I like being the person that other people say, what should I go and see? And I go, well, there's this amazing thing that most people don't know about, but I can say, and then I love it when they come back and went, we went and saw that thing, and it was about, stick with me. It's this kind of wanting to kind of position yourself as having your finger on the pulse of culture. That's, So you should basically leak your plan to these people, and they'll tell everyone early. And then these people, eventually will get around to telling everyone else. Release is it'll be relaxing, an escape from your stressful life. If you only do one thing this month, this is the guaranteed thing. The venue has everything you need. It's not just we're not just selling you a ticket to a thing. We're selling you can park, or you can get there by public transport, that you can eat, you can drink, you can do this. It's a whole night out just with one click. It's it's the answer to my prayers. I don't need to do loads of research and work out how I'm going to get everywhere. Online booking, quick, easy, free, boom, there you go. Just honestly, just press this button now and your life will be better. I should say, by the way, we said they're stressed and time poor. We got all of these people to keep a diary for us. These people are the most stressed. They're not the most busy. They're not even the second most busy. They're actually the fourth most busy. There are 3 segments that are more busier than them. They're just the most stressed. So it's not how busy you are, it's how in control you feel of how busy you are. Yeah, the busiest segment, because they just say yes to everything and they fit everything in, and they're bringing other people, they're buying other people's tickets, and but they just don't feel stressed about it. They're just quite chilled. These people are busier, these people are busier, these people are busier, these people are more stressed. Perspective, it'll be personally rewarding. They're not, these people are worrying, what about everyone else? These people are like, well, what about me? Am I going to get anything out of this? So it'll be personally rewarding. It'll be nice to do something special, different than what you normally do. It's like a change. Oh, okay, that might be good. Because they're not thinking, I really need to go. They're just thinking, I'm quite happy here. So you need to kind of really sell the difference to them. And it'll be interesting, it'll connect with your interests. It will be engaging, and it will spark your imagination. You'll have something to think about, something to talk about. It's actually a thing that you like, because it's that thing that you do, which is interested in things and wanting to think about them. And we've got one of those things, and it lines up with what you're interested in, and you should come to it. good luck with that. They're really hard to market to. These people are, it's popular. It's a great night out. It's easy to sell. It's got a celebrity in it. It'll be fun. Yeah. So this is familiar, classic. It'll be well done. It's enjoyable. The evening will be a success. It'll be all lovely. And it offers good value because a lot of these people, these are not demographic. You'll find every age group in every one of these. These track a bit older. And often they are on fixed incomes. And they're often very careful with their money. So they're not frightened to spend it as long as it's good value. Well, what they don't want to do is spend money and think, well, we didn't get, what did we get for our money? So they want to know that it's going to be good. These people are worried that they're going to choose the wrong thing. So it's got good reviews. Everyone else says it's good. It's guaranteed. You're not going to be taking much of a risk here. You'll definitely get something out of it that's worthwhile, that's pleasing to you. It's modern and relevant, so it's kind of, it's there, but it's not kind of weird and strange and too difficult. It's, you're going to be keeping up, but you're not going to be kind of get lost. And it will be something to tell other people that I did. Yeah. Don't put that in the actual email. You can hint at it. And so when we get to here, this is quite different. It's like it will be immersive, it will be emotional, and it will be escapism. It's so already this is all about emotion. This is all about evoking the experience itself. We're imagining ourselves in this amazing place where this thing is going to happen. It's going to make us feel differently, and we're going to experience all of these things, and we're going to do it together. And so it's like, oh, wow, this is great. So it's like the best family gathering you've ever had, the best, time with friends. It's the best thing that kind of moves you. And that's what they're seeking. They're wanting this shared, lovely, kind of emotive experience. Everyone that you bring and everyone you're with will enjoy a shared experience together. And so that's part of it. What was on stage or what was on the wall was great, but we did it together. And we made memories, and if you bring your children, you delight in seeing your children experiencing these things or seeing these things, and their faces light up and the questions they ask, and you just think, you are like, the best parent in the world, but you're the best friend in the world, you're the best husband in the world, you're the best anything in the world because you did this with everyone else. It will be something we can discuss. There's something to chew on, something to think about, something to do. There's some content to it, and we go, what did you think of that? Oh, I really love this. And what did I didn't think of that. So they like that kind of, let's talk about it and let's experience it together. And you'll really appreciate the artistic expression here. It's like, oh my God, this is like, the dance or the thing, it was so good. It was really powerful. It was amazing. How do artists do that? It's like art is special. And I want to be as close to it as I can get, as close to it as I can, because it's something to really admire, something to really appreciate. These are quite different, aren't they? Yeah? But everyone's in one of these. Actually, everyone is mainly in one of these. The world's not really like that. When you answer the questions on our little survey, let's say you imagine that the answer was a coordinate in 3D space. So we all filled in the little which culture segment are you questionnaire, and I'm stimulation, so I'm here, and a couple of you will be stimulation, so you might be here and here and here, and then but we'll fill the room, and the perspective people might all be over there, and the essence people might be over there. And so we fill the room with these little dots. But when we look at the dots, they're not evenly spread throughout the room. They're in kind of clouds. They are everywhere, but there's some denser clouds where, in fact, we found 8 dense clouds, and they are the segments. But of course, not everyone's exactly at the same point. Stimulation is all around here. So this person and this person are still in stimulation, but they're not exactly the same. And actually, somebody's here, which is kind of between stimulation and expression. And what we have to do is say, how near are they to each one? And we go, oh, okay, we're going to put you in stimulation. But actually, expression would be their second one. You could potentially be equidistant between 3, maybe, but that's probably as rare as being right at the middle of 1. I will say, Robin, who created the algorithm, if he changes one of his answers, he moves segment. I can change nearly all of my answers, and I can never get out of stimulation. So I must be right in the middle. So people, you might do it. You might take the little quiz again, and you might move across a boundary. You won't be zooming all over the room, but you might move from here to here, and that's enough to put you in the next door one. So we're quite relaxed about that because it means that you've got quite a lot in common with this one. So if we target you with this one, you'll still respond. And let me show you how that looks on a map. So here are the 8 segments. Expression is in the middle. So this is a map of people's second preferences. So what we're saying is if you're in perspective, the second highest score you get is usually enrichment. But if you're in enrichment, the second highest score you get is usually expression. And that's the same here. Essence, second highest score is stimulation. Stimulation, second highest score is expression. And so on, all the way. So expression is the second highest score for 4 of the other segments. So 5 of the 8 segments actually have quite a lot of expression responsiveness, I'd say. So even if you're not actually in expression, it is, I think 19% of the data on the NPU monitor. Actually, these other 4 segments have quite high expression response rates. So were you to target expression, you get a lot of bang for your buck. You get a lot of splash all around. And the ones that are on the outside are the ones that are you won't get from that because perspective are really quite narrow. Essence, again, are very, very inner-directed. I'll be the judge of what I like. I'm not influenced by other people, and I know what I like, and it's not that. It's that. So those people also think they're immune to marketing and are choosing their own stuff anyway, so just get out of their way. And these people are just like, just tell me what to see. Like, what's everyone else doing? So what we say is, out here, on the stimulation essence axis, this is what we call being inner-directed, people who are choosing their own thing, using their own faculties to decide things. And this is, I know what I like, and I'll be the judge of that. So you don't ever market to those people saying, you like it because this. They'll go, I'll be the judge of that. Down here, on the perspective enrichment axis, it's, I like what I know. Stop trying to make me go to things that are scary and new and different because I don't like them, and you keep telling me that I like it and I don't. And over here, in the release affirmation entertainment thing, is like, what is everyone else like? What's meant to be good? What should we be watching? So this is very much reviews and TripAdvisor and like just tell me what to see. And in the middle here for expression is everyone else getting what they like? Because I'm bringing you all, and I'm anxious that you're all going to have a good time. But they're quite skillful because actually they will sometimes think, I don't think this friend will like that, so I won't ask them. I think this friend would really like it. But even if they invite different people, they'll kind of think, I think you like it because of this, but I think you like it because of this. And actually they're quite good when they're explaining, shall we get a ticket? They actually are quite good at doing different versions of the sales pitch. So they'll tell their husband one thing, they'll tell their sister a different thing because they think, you like it because it's got this. But I think you. So actually these people are quite skilled because they're people and they understand what people, they know this stuff instinctively and they're very good at it. So this makes sense. So expression is kind of like really, it's like super important. Okay, we have 7 minutes. I'm going to rattle through this and then we can have a little break. Is that we're having a little break? Yeah, and then after the break, what I'm going to do is just let's talk about how we use it, right? And I've got some examples, but I really want you to do it, right? So super quick. Here we are, the people, receptive, generous, nurturing, community focused. Hey, by the way, if you are one of these, I am really flattering you. It's like you are good people. I should also say they say yes to it. If people ask them, the reason they're busy, by the way, is if people ask them for help, they find it really difficult to say no. They don't have no in their vocabulary, so they just end up saying yes to everyone, and then they end up being really busy and taking other people's kids somewhere and doing whatever. It's like, could you help at the school? Yeah, okay, I will. So they just say yes to everyone. Okay, let's have a look. They're full of enthusiasm. I mean, they wouldn't be able to get through their lives if they weren't, because it's just like one thing after another. They are really in tune with their own creative side. They like to be next to creativity. They like to appreciate other people's creativity, but they like to create things themselves. They like to be there. They like to get hands on that to do things. They also, it's interesting, if you see amateur work, they really like it, and they're very generous about it. They don't go, well, that's amateur, that's professional. They go, isn't it great that somebody has done this? There was a show at the British Museum called The Tomb of the Unknown Craftsman, which had a pottery from thousands of years ago that no one knows who made. And when this all went on display, Expression said, well, isn't it fantastic that these people are finally getting the recognition that they deserve? It's like, no, it's like we don't know who they are. You know, it's like, but it's just kind of, isn't it great that these people made this stuff? So they like to connect and they share, and they're really inclusive. Well, I should say, by the way, that they love it when they see an organization that is reaching out to people who don't come or don't have access, or and inviting them in. Expression that don't have children love the fact that you do things for children. It doesn't benefit them at all, but they think it's wonderful. They might even donate to it. So they just are people who want to see everyone in the world. If you offered them the choice of an exclusive private event behind a velvet rope, or an open day in which the entire city was crammed into the building, they'd choose the open day because they just want to see everybody there and everybody enjoying. It makes them happy. So this is really, they don't like exclusivity. They just want everyone to be involved. They think it's art and culture is for everyone. It's 17% of the Norwegian population. It's only 14 in Oslo. You can make up your own mind about that. And same in London, by the way. And it's 19% of the audiences that are so far being captured by the NPU monitor. And that compares to 29% for essence, by the way, and 19% also for stimulation. But these people have a kind of multiplier power that maybe those others don't have. Let's look at these. I just want to put these on for buzzwords. I love this. This is the kind of, not exactly these words, but when you're writing to them or talking to them, immersive, collective, imagination, participate, experience, storytelling, connection, public, joy, authenticity, together, and open. They're like, oh, they love all of those. I'm going to say the essence really don't like those words. They're like, where's the quality? You know, but this is all about, oh, this is going to be wonderful. We can all do it together. So it's words and phrases that evoke this kind of sense of togetherness and the sense of immersion. They love all of that. Here we go. So this is your checklist for any kind of communication with them is paint a picture, evoke what it's going to be like, you know, talk about what you'll see and how it will feel, and because that's what they want. They want this kind of rich, imagined experience. So they're buying the imagined experience from you, so you have to describe it really quite graphically, because that's the thing that's motivating them. So you ignite their imagination. Storytelling, they love narrative, they love anything that's kind of whatever. They love things about people, so whether it's the writer or the actor or the artist or the thing or whatever, it's just like tell them a little story, you know, this person did, oh wow, this is amazing. So because they are naturally hardwired to connect and empathize with somebody else. In fact, use the picture of the person because they love to see the person and they go, oh, this person. And so it's all very human, it's all very personal, it's all very intimate. So immersion, the chance to join in, be part of it, to connect, and any kind of chance to express yourself, like give feedback, tell you what you want, ask your opinion, they love all of that. And, you know, so they love this idea of time travel as well. It transports you to a different place. It's just magical. It's like, so what you're selling them is a trip on a magic carpet. Not a seat. Not selling them F42. You're selling them a magic carpet, which will transport them to a different time, place, whatever. And they love all of this stuff: inclusivity, community, society, interaction, all of that. They just love it all. They also are very visually driven. We found this out by accident. We tested lots of poster images with all the different segments, and anything in Technicolor, like the more colourful it is, expression just go crazy for it. It's like crack cocaine to them. So we did this for Kew Botanic Gardens in London. All of their the dominant colour on all of their advertising always is green, because there's just pictures of stuff and it's all green. And then we tested some orchids that were all these colours, and people were just like going absolutely crazy. And now every single advert you ever see for Kew has just got millions of colours on it, because it just ticket sales go off the scale when they do it. So yeah, they just love anything visual and so on. And then what else have I got? They like anything that's like a debate or a discussion. Are we going to be asked for our feedback? Oh, there's a question thing afterwards, and you can meet the person, or you can ask questions, or people are going to talk about it. So they love just being involved. Networks that appeal to their community spirit, be part of our thing. So in things like membership, they kind of want to have contact with other members. They don't just want to be, you are a member, and you can now get your discount by using your card. It's more like you've joined all this big group of people who all are like you, and they all believe in the same thing. So they want to be a member, not just have a season card. They actually want to belong. And yeah, I think I've kind of said all of that, and probably all of this. They hate being sold anything. So like on Facebook, when they become a Facebook friend, they actually think they're your friend. So, like we all think that's a person's Facebook page, that's an organization's Facebook page. No difference. So if I've joined you as a friend, you're now my friend, so I expect you to talk to me like a friend and tell me what you've been up to and share stuff and invite me to be part of it. And if you then put marketing, sales into that channel, it's a bit like your friend trying to sell you something. It's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. So they kind of want you to ask them to help other people buy the tickets. They don't want you to sell them the ticket. It's just quite weird, but it's definitely true. I think I've got that twice now, haven't I? I'll leave it at that, because I've got a thing. Right. That's a question. So if we can come back at past, and actually literally start at past, I want to talk about how you'd actually practically use this. And I'd like this more to be like you just sharing examples of things, and I've got some stuff I can show you. Let's just kind of actually make it practical, okay? Let's talk about programming. If your programming is done entirely in a smoke-filled room by artistic directors, then even if you then just take the program, we did this recently with Malmo Live. We just took their entire program and their entire team in a room with some big tables. We just put their entire program out, and we asked the artistic team and the marketing team and everyone to tell us who they thought the primary segment and the secondary segment were for each concert. And I'm going to say that they, after probably a presentation like you've just seen, I hardly any time with it, they kind of had 85% agreement. Yeah, that's an essence one, that's an expression one, that's an affirmation one, that's what. And And they could say it's the reason that's an Essence concert is because it's a difficult composer and it's lesser known work, but it's a da-da-da, and it's a modern piece with a thing with a da-da. But the reason that we think stimulation could be the second segment is because it's got this connection, or it's about this, or it's got that angle, or it's what, you know. So they were able to articulate in segment terms why this thing would appeal. And we went all the way through, and obviously with a concert hall, you have a lot of product. Some of you might only have 3 things on, and some of you will have 25 things on. But we went through the whole thing and did that after the fact, you know, retrospectively. What we found was we could then look at how many things in our program are for each of the segments. Like, where are we? Who are we programming for? And there was a disproportionate number of concerts that were aimed at the segment that the programmer was in. So programmers, not surprisingly, program for themselves, but there was also a disproportionate number of programs for the entertainment segment. That's because programmers often think, well, if you're not like me, you probably just like mainstream stuff. So what we actually had was hardcore programming and kind of, really populist programming, and not a lot in the middle. There wasn't enough in the middle for people to kind of grow their own repertoire, so it was either, if you know this is for you, and if you don't, come to the kind of sing-along concert. And I'm being slightly facetious, but there wasn't enough of a portfolio. But even where we had, for example, the stimulation, we had, I think it was 6 concerts that we thought were primarily that's really appealing to stimulation. 4 of them were within a 3-week period, and the other 2 were in the other 48 weeks of the year. And it was like, oh, okay, are we having a stimulation festival? I mean, you could do that. That's one approach. But it's kind of like we went 5 months with nothing. Nothing to say to this segment at all, nothing. Well, we won't get anything for you. You could come to this one if you want, but we haven't got anything. But you wait till March. Whoa, okay, full on. So there is even a thing about, even if you don't actually change the cadence of the programming, or you don't change the balance of the programming, you could change the cadence of the programming and spread things out. And it's saying, well, are we doing these at the right times of year for these things? Have we got too many of the same thing crushed up together and then nothing? But it's as soon as you start having that conversation, the programmer now, even subliminally, is now thinking, who's this concert for? And it's not a bad idea. I'm quite comfortable and relaxed about it being artistically led. I know other people will say, no, we really have to bring audience in. Fine. But, come up with whatever it is you want to do artistically, but then actually just go through the step of thinking, and who's this for? And when is it? And how does this fit into the program? And can we actually present this sensibly to the public and get them to at this interval and this frequency and this whatever? And what you end up doing is saying, actually, it was this segment here who really, really want a way into classical music in that thing. They know a bit, 2 or 3 things, but they don't know anything beyond that. So what they need is not to be stuck in the greatest hits concert or be told to come to the kind of squeaky gate concert. They just want somebody to go, and this is how you understand Haydn, and this is what this is about. And you come to this concert, and there's a piece by Grieg, and then there's a thing, and we're going to explain it to you. And they just wanted to go, this is great, I'm learning all of this stuff. But there was nowhere, it was either full on or nothing. And so it's understanding that how do we build pathways through our program for different segments in the audience. Can I also just say, while we're on classical music, the wraparound experience. Okay. Where people turn up. It's a real scrum. I get your coat off. Get in, and then there's an interval that's too short. So you're lucky to make it to the bar. You won't get your drink, and then it's time to go back in. And also, I went to a concert hall the other week. Have anyone done this? Been to the bar, there's somebody in front of me, and the person in front of me said, "Can I have a glass of white wine and a gin and tonic, or a bottle of lager, or whatever it was?" And they said, "Yes, absolutely." They went to the fridge, and they opened the fridge, they got out the wine, and they got the wine, and they got the measuring cup, poured it into the wine glass. Okay. Yeah. And then they the bottle back in the fridge and took the money. And then the next person said, "Can I have a glass of wine?" And we're thinking, we're on a schedule here, and so just have all the wine, 2 wines, 3 wines, 5 wines, we're done. And so all of that. But I've got a lovely example of somebody who did this, where we found that the expression segment, when we asked them for feedback about the concert, kept talking about going to the bar afterwards. We were like, "Oh, what is this?" And they said, "Oh, well, if you go to the bar afterwards and you wait about 15 minutes, some of the players in the orchestra come out and have a drink, and then we get to meet them." And we were like, "Oh, okay." And they said, "That's the best bit, So what we actually did was, and then we found one other thing, which was that we asked people about the pre-concert talk, and people said, "Wow, I think it's probably for like experts, and I just don't know. I don't know enough about it to come to the talk." And the point of the talk was to explain it for people who didn't know much about it. So what we did was, when people bought the ticket, we automatically printed a second ticket, which was for the pre-concert talk. So everybody got an actual ticket for the pre-concert talk, and this is an audience of about 1,500, and 800 of them turned up for the pre-performance talk because they had a ticket. And we had to move the pre-performance talk into the main auditorium because the room we were going to have it in wasn't big enough. But you give people a ticket and they just turn up. And then we thought, So what we then did was we started giving them 3 tickets, 1 for the pre-performance talk, 1 for the concert, and then 1 for the after party. The after party was just the bar. So people came waving their tickets, and you go. And so the bar, when the orchestra members now came out to the bar was thronged with like 300 or 400 people, and they were like, "Oh, this is quite good." So suddenly we had a community, we had whatever people, and all that cost us was the price of printing 2 little tickets. So it's just kind of understanding what's people's motivation, how's that work, and the programming team loved it because people were more engaged with the concert, people were more engaged with the players. Who's next? Please. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. 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 Yeah, it's interesting. Let's not do Haydn. Let's do Shostakovich. Actually, harder. Yeah, do the hard one. If you ask these people about Shostakovich, they'll give you this very detailed and informed assessment of Shostakovich's, place in the canon of classical music. Right? If you ask all of these people about Shostakovich, what do they say? Well, okay, they might say who, but even if they've heard of Shostakovich, or especially if they've heard of Shostakovich, what do they say? I'm not an expert, don't know, but what do they think the music will be like? Difficult, dark, foreboding. It's all kind of Leningrad and war and death and and we're going to be sitting through it. It's going to be like military music, it's going to be really, really intense, yeah? And I think, is it Shostakovich's ninth, fifth, seventh, yeah, which is the one he wrote after Leningrad, when he wrote at the end of the war. And there's this lovely story about how when it was premiered, Stalin stormed out because he was disgusted by it, because he said it was bourgeois and whatever, and it sounded more like Bernstein than it did Leningrad. And so we had this lovely, this is one of the best bits of writing, a little email I've ever seen, which was this story about how people think that Shostakovich is difficult and hard and whatever, but actually this symphony that we're playing is more burlesque and it's more American and it's more whatever. And this is what happened, and Stalin hated it and he stormed out, and it was also, we did this thing where we kept calling him Dmitri instead of Shostakovich, which is, you can't, he's dead, you've got to call him by his surname. So we were calling him, Dmitri didn't care, and Dmitri did this, and it was like, it was a story, it was about a person, it was this kind of anecdote, it was this like, you think it's one thing, but it's something else. And tickets just flew out, because suddenly people, I want to hear this. And it's not like what I thought, and I might learn something, and apparently it's actually quite easy to listen to. So suddenly we'd turned this thing, which was Shostakovich 7. That's how classical music's sold, isn't it? Yeah, in C minor, Opus 492. Suddenly it was like we'd describe the melodies, and it was all about how it would feel, and there's this bit of history to it. Right. Well, this was a little while ago, so that was email, but it could be social media, it could be anything. It's just kind of thinking about all the conventions that we have. I mean, it is like dead composers by their surname, live composers by their full name. That's kind of just how classical music works. But also just listing the works in the thing as if everybody knows what they are. Now, some of the audience could read the titles of the things and they could hum the melody. Most people are going, what's that? So the idea of describing what the music feels like, what it sounds like, the mood of it, the kind of emotion of it, possibly why it was written, what it was inspired by, how it was received, tell the story of it. We wouldn't do this, would we, for a play? You wouldn't just have the title of the play and the date and the technical information of it. You'd actually try to explain what it was about, or what it was, the characters of it and so on. But I do see plays described very badly. My bugbear. And it's interesting because I've done this with Norwegian and Swedish and other things. I just put it back into Google Translate and put it back into English. And it's exactly the same in English as what English theatres are writing. And it's like, how did we get this kind of international art speak thing? And there's two versions. There's this version, which is like you need a degree in theatre studies to understand what we're saying. And then there's the other version, which is kind of a weird kind of, I don't know what it is, like an optimistic kind of enthusiastic kind of, this show is like fantastically, brilliantly wonderful, and it's got lots of adjectives in it, and it's really clever. It's like it would take quite a long while to write it because it's kind of dense in its kind of, adjectives, and it's like just nobody would ever speak like this. So it just comes across like you're being somebody's kind of trying to sell you something. My test is, when you've written something, say it out loud and imagine saying it to a friend or whatever. And if that sounds like a really good way of explaining what this thing is, then send it. And if it doesn't, don't send it, because it's not natural. It doesn't feel, it's this weird kind of arts speak that also I've tested it on audiences, it doesn't sell tickets. So the people who want to come anyway go, yeah, that's a thing I like to see. Then other people go, I'm not quite sure what that is. And occasionally you get lucky and you've put a sentence in that people go, oh, well, that sounds quite interesting. But it actually puts off as many people as it attracts. We do a thing, you should try this. Just get whatever it is, your brochure, your email, your social media post. Get some audience members in, give them 2 highlighter pens, green and pink, and say, highlight anything in green that makes you more likely to book, and highlight anything in pink that either you don't know what it means or it puts you off booking, and then see how much pink you get, and then do it again and do it again until the pink goes down to as little pink as you can and your green goes up to as much as you can. And you'll find that all the kind of, enthusiastic speech is all the pink. Or people just leave it and go, I don't know what that is, And the green stuff is all heartfelt, it's all personal, it's all emotive, it's all descriptive, it's whatever. And it just feels like normal speech. People like it when you speak to them. They don't like it when you sell to them. I think that's... I've got one slide which I'll put up. I won't go through it in great detail because of the time, but have I got it here? Yeah, there you go. And this is your friend. So very, very quickly, never start by writing anything. Just ask some questions like, what is it? What is it about? Just talk about it. There's a fanatic behind everything. And they, if you just talk to them and ask them about the show, don't ever ask them to write the copy, by the way. They'll write terrible copy. But if you just talk to them, they won't be able to help enthusing about their own show, and they'll just tell you stuff that you can't write. It's like, and they'll tell you stories and they'll tell you why they like it. You can either record that or scribble it down or whatever. I've done those things where I've almost not changed anything and I've just put out what they've written. And when I've drafted it to them, they've said, oh, we can't say that. I said, this is literally your words. This is what you said. Yeah, but we can't write it down. Yes, we can. It's fine. So we have this thing as we can say anything we want, but we can't write it because written communication has to be a certain way. No, it doesn't. We could just, if I said to you, you want to go and persuade the public, and you had a choice of 60 seconds talking to somebody or 60 seconds of them reading something that you'd written, I hope you'd all choose talking to them because that would be much more persuasive. So the reading experience needs to mimic the spoken experience as closely as it can because that's the most persuasive thing. So if 60 seconds of reading sounds like, in your head, 60 seconds of you talking to them, then that will sell more tickets or get more response than that stuff that we write. So just be natural. And you see all of this stuff's in here. Tell an imaginary person what it would be like, then try it out in a real one. Don't sit at your desk, go and sit in a park or do something, be creative. I think the starting in Word on a keyboard is death to all copy. That's the last thing you do, not the first thing you do. Use a pencil or, a big Sharpie or do something that's not just typing. Write anything, edit nothing. There's no bad ideas, just throw it all in because in the end you'll have more stuff to work with. Start in the middle, jump around. Don't ever start with the previous version. Just like bin that, don't even look at it. And then ask this question, can it be shorter? Like, this is great, but could it be shorter? Not like clever shorter, but just like, we don't need that bit. Be prepared to discard the bit that you were most pleased with, because that's probably a bit too clever, and it's probably not the bit we need. And when you've written it, read it aloud, and does it sound natural? And can you make it even more conversational? Can you use we'll and I'm rather than, we will and you will and it is? And then the last thing is have fun, break the rules, And then there's this. Does it sound nice? Is it just like, has it got a little poetry? Has it got a little rhythm to it? That's nice. So anyway, leave you that. This is very expression, by the way. Expression will go nuts for this. What else? What else have we got? Please. Yes. No, great question. Yeah. Yeah. We think that the segments are based on really deep-seated, slow-moving values and beliefs. So the change we see between the segments tends to be what I was talking about earlier, like you change one thing and you've just gone across the boundary. In terms of like longer-term structural change, we think there is some. The system's been going 13 years, so we don't have a lot of data for that, but we have got people who we've tracked over a decade. When we see big changes, we've managed to correlate it. It's most obvious at big life changes. So children leaving home is a massive one. So, and usually that's when people escape from release. So if we go back to the, oh, here. Oh, not that one. Not that one. That one. So some of the people in here are in here because of how busy their lives are or how stressed they are about their lives. And when something changes, like they retire or the children leave home or something like that, then they often leave that and land somewhere else. I'm going to say, though, that they almost never land in essence, they almost never land in stimulation, and they almost never land in perspective. Yeah? And they also don't tend to land here. So they'll land either in expression, affirmation, or sometimes enrichment, but mainly expression and affirmation. And my wife was exactly the same. My wife was in release solidly while our kids lived at home, and when our kids left home, she suddenly started testing affirmation, and it was amazing because when she was in release, I always bought all the theatre tickets, all of them, because it was like she didn't have time to think about them, and she's a bit stressed. She's also a school teacher, so imagine the homework. So once the kids left home, she suddenly started booking things. I'm like, oh, I bought theatre. I'm like, oh, what have you? And I'm stimulation. I'm like, oh my God, what's she bought? It's like, this is going to be awful. And what was interesting was she'd done her research, because these people do a lot of research. And so the recent one, she said, oh, well, I've got those tickets. I was like, oh, what is it? I was thinking, and she said, oh, it's a musical. And I thought, oh, God, it's like, I'm really not up for this. I said, well, what is it? And she said, it's Hamilton. And I'm like, oh my God, like how do you even know about it? And B, I didn't even know there were tickets. But she'd kind of said, oh, apparently everyone says it's really good. It's like, yeah, it is. So it's just, so I think people can change, but I do think it is around these kind of big changes. There's something interesting is if you test essence, they're the most likely group to do the test again to try and break it, because one of the attributes of essence is they really don't want to be segmented. Because their entire identity is, I'm an individual, not part of a group, and they're not joiners. So I had a theatre director once berate me for 25 minutes after an event, saying, well, how can you possibly put all these people into the one group, and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't say anything for 25 minutes, and at the end of it, she said, but that's probably just because I'm essence. I was like, there you are. I would also say, though, that this is we keep being told by artistic directors that this is the only segmentation system that they've seen where they can see themselves. And it makes sense to them. Yeah, that's me. And that's actually quite powerful, because it gives you potentially gives you a common language across all your departments and silos. Right, here we are. And we can look at who it is we're actually aiming at here. Please, right at the back. Yeah, absolutely. So there's a huge correlation between interest in and access to culture and education. So the more education people have, it correlates massively strongly with access to culture. There are some exceptions to that, and they tend to be very particular kinds of folk culture and working class culture, which might book that trend, but certainly kind of funded, subsidized culture and education are just like correlated incredibly. And of course, the more educated you are, the more likely you are to earn a higher income. So we think the income thing is just a function of education. And we think the access to culture is a function of education. So education's king. You know, invest in education, we're all here. Hey, that's the same thing with classical music, by the way. 70% of the classical audience over the age of 60 learned an instrument as a child. 12% of the audience under 35 have. So the lack of instrument learning in schools is going to kill classical music unless we come up with some other strategy, because that was the natural routine, and now that's been broken. Sorry, you were saying income, whatever. So Essence is the wealthiest and best educated. Stimulation tends to be quite well educated, but tracks a little bit younger, maybe, but not always. Enrichment are kind of classically educated. They're not, you know, they're kind of old school education. And then expression affirmation. Expression affirmation are kind of slightly less educated, but are in the middle. Perspective is self-educated largely. I mean, they may have education for something, but the thing that they're interested in is being a kind of passion of theirs. And so there's an awful lot of kind of autodidact going on here. Actually, these release are similar to affirmation and education, and then entertainment's the lowest level. Just, you know, how it is. And yeah. Anyone do membership of any kind? Okay, I'll just show you something. These are two US museums. MoMA, this is their membership pitch, okay, in New York. Belong to something, okay? Belong to something brilliant, electrifying, radical, sharp, curious, moving, breathtaking, lesson, whatever, yeah? Join us at the member services in the lobby and belong, yeah? So this is all very much about be part of this. And then obviously, you know, lower down it's like, and you get free admission and you get a bit of this and you get, but it's all very much like be one of us, you know, be part of this. Museum of Fine Arts Boston, save money, do this, get this access, get a thing, get in the queue first. It's like a season ticket, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, so this is so different. What I would say is that the benefits, the thing that you might save, the money thing, should be up there in the mix. It shouldn't all be this. It needs to be up there in the mix because people do join for that reason. But they renew for this. This is why they renew. If you don't get them on this level, like from day one, they will get to the renewal period and go, didn't really use my card as much as I should have, probably haven't saved any money, probably don't need to renew. Or I'll join again next time there's something worth joining for. So you get people who join and not join, and then join and not join. And so building this sense of belonging is really interesting and is massive. This entire campaign is expression, but I'll tell you what, stimulation love it because it's clever and visual. They're like, oh, see what they've done there. So that's really lovely. So stimulation take pictures of it. Expression actually join. So we are moving the MFA in the right direction, we should say. They've just started using culture segments, and so they have this. So now they're moving much more into the kind of emotional space. What else can I show you? Can I just show you this very quickly? Expression as well as like develop. The other things that they like in life is anything that's the underdog. You know, so they will support the little independent coffee shop in their neighborhood because we all should support it, otherwise it'll close. And it's good to have it in our neighborhood because it makes our neighborhood better. It's a place we can all meet and whatever, and it's part of the community. And so when they come to a building like this, they want the catering offer and the drinks offer to have that flavor of that independent, homemade, handmade, craft, organic, local, you know, wholesome, whatever. They don't want some kind of prepackaged, microwaved something. They want it to feel like, you know, this is a map of where this is a map for a theatre where this is where all of our suppliers are, and this is where all the food comes from. Communal tables, big expression thing, by the way. You meet other people, even if you just say hello. But sitting on communal tables rather than everyone being private is a huge expression thing. But they just love all of this. This is a theatre. We are serving fresh homemade food pre and post theatre. So it's all about people, all about the kind of authenticity, provenance, supporting other people in the community. You know, it just has that kind of feel to it. It's not corporate, is what I'm saying. So this matters more than you would think. People absolutely love this. And the same we've seen museums and things that have shops where they've got craft things in the shop and unique things. People will just pay because they want to support it. If it's like I could get that anywhere, it's like, well, I'll just get it somewhere else or I won't buy it at all. Just thinking if there's anything else I've got. Oh, one more thing. Anyone else get this? Good morning. This is fine, because also this leads you to the NPU survey, so it's a good thing. But what I would say is that, especially with expression, before the show, we have an awful lot to say, don't we, to people. We're telling them all of this stuff, we're sending them videos, we're like, you know, come see this show, it's the best show in the world. And we're at that point, they have very little to say to us. It's not a dialogue. They've not seen the show. They don't know anything about it. So they might have a question maybe, but they don't have any opinion. So it's all one way. And there's a lot of it. We bombard people with stuff and through every channel, social media, posters on the thing. You know, it's like, as soon as the show is done, yeah, we have very little to say to them. Usually the next thing we have to say to them is, we've got another show, you should buy that as well. This kind of thing is good because it like follows it up and says, hi, you know, like whatever, we'd like to ask you some questions. And sometimes in here it says, what did you think of the show? Or, you know, whatever, and that's better. But it strikes me that actually what expression want is they want to express their opinion, but they want to know what everyone else said. So actually what they'd prefer is some kind of forum, some kind of page where you could read about what other people are saying, or you could even ask questions. Hey, maybe even somebody from the artistic team might say, well, thank you for that, that's really interesting. And actually, you're right, because this is da-da-da-da. And originally, when we were rehearsing it, we did do that, but actually we did, you know, and it's like, oh, wow, the whole process is being revealed to us. And for everyone that wants to actually write something and say, this is what I think, there are 10 that want to read it and go, oh yeah, I thought that, but won't necessarily write it themselves, but feel validated because they've been part of a process where other people have said those things and then they've read what someone else has said, and even if you've not actually contributed personally, you feel that you're in the conversation. And it strikes me that we spend so long creating the work, rehearsing it, putting it on the stage. There it is for like 2 hours, boom, gone. And then we leave it to people to go away and think about it themselves, possibly if they've got a partner that they were with who wants to talk about it, then go, well, I thought that bit, you know, what did you think of that bit? But a lot of people don't have anyone to speak to about it, and that's just gone. And it seems to me that the life, say, in a play, let's talk about it, it could be an exhibition or a dance show or anything, the life of that show could be extended way beyond the actual. It's almost like the experience is almost the beginning rather than the end of it. And people want to talk about it and the issues and debate it and say what they thought and what, you know. And so I think that a show that's not on more than one night, actually it's got a marketing benefit, hasn't it? Because people are talking about it, and also the things people say are kind of, you can reuse them. But a lot of people, I think Essence would like it. Like they've got opinions, and Stimulation would like to know what the buzz is. But I think Expression particularly would love to be part of the conversation and hear what everyone else is thinking and feeling and whatever else. And I don't think we do that enough. And I don't think it's not beyond our wit to do that, is it? To curate a conversation about the show afterwards. I mean, we sometimes do it live, don't we? Stay in your seat and there'll be a little Q&A, but only a tiny fraction of the audience get that. So could we do that for the whole audience online? I mean, we've got these tools now, but we tend not to do it. But that just creates community. People will absolutely love it if you did that. I think absolutely love it. Yeah. And if I was the director or the artistic director or whatever, I'd want to see what people were saying about it. And, if you wanted to have a little go, great. It makes it even richer, doesn't it? So we're well over time now. I'll give everyone the slides. I hope what you've got out of it is the kind of sense of the richness of this and the power of it. And also, I suppose, particularly with Expression, the kind of humanity of it. This isn't a system of statistics and pie charts and graphs. This is about people and their mindsets, how they think and how they feel, and how we as organizations could practice being more personal, more human, more connected, and plug into their feelings and their needs and their thing. And in doing so, we can engage them in what we're excited about. And I think sometimes particularly our communications, but also our program and also our experience can almost get in the way of that connection. So we need to just think about it, even if you just thought about it from a human point of view, but then particularly from a segment point of view, and then start thinking about whether it's the communication messages we're doing or just kind of what they basically are looking for in life, that we have an idea for each show that we're doing. Who are we aiming this at? And turn the knob to 11 for that. You won't exclude other people. Well, you won't exclude anyone that really wants to come. You'll get other segments anyway, but just writing something powerfully genuine aimed at the segment that's your core segment will be more successful than writing something generic that is for kind of everyone and no one. So I suppose if you take anything away from that, that's it. But it is applicable to everything we do. So, thank you.